Have you ever chased a woman hoping she'd complete you, only to feel emptier after she left? Not just heartbroken, hollow. Like something ancient inside you had been ripped away, and you couldn't name what it was. It wasn't just her body you missed. Not just her voice or her laugh. It was something deeper. Something that made you feel alive, challenged, haunted. Something that reminded you of a part of yourself you didn't know was still breathing. Men often believe they're searching for love, but what they're really chasing is meaning. And that meaning is hidden in the feminine. Not as a woman, but as a symbol, as a presence, as a force that appears in your dreams, in your longings, and in the faces of the women who shake you to your core. The anima is the bridge to the unconscious. Ignore her, and you live half a life. Marie-Louise von Franz. Half a life. That's the cost of not understanding the feminine within you. She is not your girlfriend. She is not your fantasy. She is the soul of your soul. The voice behind your silence. The one who waits in your shadow until you are brave enough to turn inward. But we don't turn inward. Most men run. They project. They idolize. They fall in love with her reflection in another person and call it destiny, until that person leaves and they fall apart. You've probably felt this. The sensation that your heartbreak was more than just emotional. It was mythological, like something inside you cracked that had nothing to do with the actual relationship. Like losing her was losing you. And you're not wrong. The anima isn't just a poetic concept. She is the path. She is the whisper that leads you to what you've buried, rejected, or feared to touch. But most men never learn her language. They only hear noise, mood swings, confusion, emotional chaos. They label it irrational, dismiss it, fear it, and in doing so, they stay cut off from themselves. Because to listen to the anima is to walk into the dark. It is to give up control, to surrender certainty, to face the parts of you that logic can't fix. And that is terrifying. Yet every woman who's left you confused, who pulled you in and then pushed you away, who seemed magical at first, then maddening later, she wasn't just teaching you about her. She was mirroring your soul. That's the tragedy of the uninitiated man. He thinks she's the mystery, but in truth he is. You were never meant to decode her. You were meant to follow her inward, to trace the emotion, not suppress it. To ask what part of yourself she activated, and why it hurt so much when it vanished. This is the secret most men don't want to hear. Women don't just enter your life. They awaken you, and the ones who hurt you the most? They were the ones who dared to touch the parts of you you've been avoiding for years. Tell me, have you ever blamed a woman for making you feel too much? Have you ever said she was too emotional, when the truth is, she was opening a door inside you that you weren't ready to walk through? Let's be honest. It's easier to say she was crazy than to admit you were scared. Scared of your feelings, scared of depth, scared of what might happen if you listened. But the anima is patient. She doesn't demand, she waits. She waits until your patterns destroy you, until your distractions fade, until you're quiet enough to notice that emptiness you've been carrying is not because of her absence, but because of your disconnection. Disconnection from your soul, from your myth, from the sacred feminine energy that your modern life taught you to mock. And when you finally sit in silence, and you feel that ache not as a weakness, but as a compass, that's when she speaks. She doesn't use words, she uses dreams, symbols, tension, longing, synchronicity. Do you feel it? That unnameable pull towards something bigger than yourself? Something strange and beautiful and terrifying all at once? That's not confusion, that's the invitation. But most men never accept it. Because to follow the anima means sacrificing the illusion of who you think you are. It means letting die the man you've been pretending to be. The one who performs masculinity like a costume. Who chases success to avoid silence. Who uses women as mirrors rather than mysteries. She doesn't care for your titles. She doesn't care for your pride. The anima isn't impressed by the mask. She wants the man beneath it. And she'll keep showing up in your life as seduction or chaos until you answer her properly. She'll come as the woman who mesmerizes you but slips through your fingers. She'll come as the argument you can't win, the emotion you can't name, the ache you can't numb. She'll come as every failed relationship that wasn't just a failure in love, but a failure in listening. Because she doesn't speak in logic. She speaks in metaphor, in music. In the moments when you stop trying to understand and start trying to feel. But here's the part that hurts. Most men don't lose her because they're bad. They lose her because they're afraid. Afraid of what love might unlock. Afraid of surrender. Afraid that what she'll reveal will be too much to carry. So they try to possess her, control her, silence her. And in doing so, they kill the very bridge that leads to their wholeness. Do you feel that in your own story? That pattern of pulling away when it gets too real? Of running back to the familiar, even when it leaves you empty? You're not broken. You're just uninitiated. You were never taught how to dance with the Anima, only how to deny her. But deep down, you know the truth. You know that every meaningful connection you've ever had wasn't about logic. It was about depth, vulnerability, mystery. It was about stepping into a conversation older than you are, a dialogue between your soul and the feminine principle that shapes your destiny. This is why certain women never leave you. Not in memory, not in dreams, not even after years, because they didn't just touch your body. They touched your myth. And the myth doesn't fade with time. It grows louder in your silence. That woman you met, who felt like a storm and a sanctuary at the same time, she wasn't random. She was the Anima embodied. She appeared when you were ready for something more, or when you were about to lose yourself. And your response determined everything. Did you chase her? Did you idealize her? Did you fear her? Did you try to save her? Or did you see her? Truly see her. Not as a fantasy, not as a prize, but as a guide. Because here's the secret most men never learn. The Anima tests you, not because she wants to punish you, but because she wants to reveal you. She wants to know, can you hold contradiction? Can you love what you don't control? Can you stay open when it's uncomfortable? Can you hear the language that's not spoken, but felt? The Anima doesn't need you to understand her. She needs you to meet her, to feel her, to let her take you where your ego refuses to go. And if you don't, she withdraws, not out of anger, but out of grace. Because if you're not ready to meet your soul, she won't force you. She'll step back and wait. Maybe for years, maybe forever. Until the weight of your surface-level life finally collapses, and you're desperate enough to dig. That's when the dreams come. That's when the longing returns. That's when you remember the woman who didn't just make you feel something. She made you question everything. And that's the point. Because her purpose was never to complete you, it was to awaken you. And awakening isn't gentle. It rips, it burns, it unravels. Because the Anima doesn't whisper sweet nothings. She calls you to war, not with the world, but with yourself, with the persona you built to survive, with the lies you told to be loved, with the comfort that has become your cage. This is why love, real love, always feels like danger before it feels like home. Because the Anima doesn't hand you peace. She hands you a mirror, one that shows you where you've abandoned yourself, where you've become a ghost in your own life. And in that moment, you have a choice. Look away. Or look deeper. Most men look away. They say it's too much, too complicated, too emotional. But what they really mean is, too real. Because if they looked deeper, they'd see that the very things they run from, intimacy, vulnerability, emotional depth, are the keys to the kingdom they secretly crave. The problem is, most of us were never taught how to read the map. We learned how to pursue, but not how to perceive. How to conquer, but not how to connect. How to want her body, but not how to hear her soul. We thought attraction was about control, not communion. And so we missed the signs, over and over. The glances that hold more weight than words. The silence that begs for presence. The tears that don't ask to be fixed, only witnessed. We miss the moment when her energy shifts. Not because she stopped loving us, but because she stopped feeling us. And that's when the distance begins. Not physically, but energetically. She starts pulling back not out of cruelty, but because she senses your absence long before you notice her retreat. You think she's being dramatic. She thinks you're not listening. And both of you end up lonely in a relationship that once felt electric. The anima never disappears. She just goes silent when you stop listening. And the longer you ignore her, the louder the consequences become. That anxiety you can't explain. That restlessness you can't shake. That feeling that something is missing. Even when everything looks fine, it's her. It's your soul's way of reminding you. You were made for more than survival. You were made for union. But union isn't found in comfort. It's found in confrontation. Of your fears. Of your defenses. Of the idea that love is supposed to feel safe all the time. Because sometimes love breaks you open so you can meet yourself again. Have you felt that? That ache for something deeper? But the terror of being seen too clearly? If you've ever sabotaged a good woman because you didn't feel ready. If you've ever pushed away connection because it asked too much of you. If you've ever wanted more but settled for less because more felt overwhelming. That's the anima, knocking. Not to shame you, but to invite you, to stop running, to start remembering. You are not here to conquer women. You are here to understand the woman within, because the feminine soul in you is not weakness. She's the gatekeeper to your transformation, and until you face her, you will live half a life. You'll succeed outwardly and starve inwardly. You'll attract beauty and never feel intimacy. You'll chase meaning and never feel whole, until you stop fearing her voice. Until you let her speak through your intuition, your creativity, your tenderness, your truth. And it won't make sense at first. You'll feel lost, exposed, unsure. But you'll also feel alive, in a way logic can't explain. Because when you stop chasing women and start listening to the anima, you stop asking, how can I get her? And start asking, how can I meet myself? And that's when everything changes. That's when women stop confusing you and start reflecting you. That's when love stops being a battlefield and becomes a mirror. That's when the feminine isn't a mystery to decode, but a truth to embody. You were never meant to decode her from the outside. You were meant to awaken her from within. And if you make it this far, if you're still listening, still feeling, still holding on despite the ache, then you're already on the path. Not the path of performance, but the path of presence. This journey doesn't end with a woman's approval. It begins with your own. Because what you seek in her, the spark, the depth, the sense of coming home, it all begins in the place you've been avoiding the most, yourself. That's the final truth the anima reveals. She's not just a muse, she's a mirror. And every time you feel drawn to a woman, every time she stirs something you can't explain, every time her absence haunts you more than her presence, she's not just waking up your longing, she's waking up your destiny. You weren't meant to live numb. You weren't meant to survive love with strategies. You were meant to surrender to it, not as weakness, but as initiation. Because love, real love, is not about possession. It's about integration. And you can't integrate the feminine out there until you've integrated the feminine in here. So maybe that's what she's been trying to tell you. Not with words, but with silence, with glances, with distance, with all the things that made no sense to your rational mind, but shattered your emotional certainty. She was never confusing. You were never listening. Because love, the kind that cracks you open, the kind that leads to truth, the kind that reshapes your soul, it's not spoken, it's read. The anima is the bridge to the unconscious. Ignore her and you live half a life. That wasn't a metaphor. That was a warning. So if this made your chest tighten, if this felt like someone put your silence into words, if this stirred something you forgot you buried, then don't let it fade. Don't close the window. Don't go back to sleep. Write to me in the comments. Tell me where it hurts. I want to hear what no one else has heard. And if this touched something real in you, if it made you see the feminine not as a puzzle, But as a path, then subscribe, not for me. For the part of you that's ready to stop surviving. For the part of you that wants to feel again. Because we need to talk more about what no one talks about. About the things that break men open. And the truths that put them back together. This is your reminder. You are not too broken. You are not too late. You are not too much. You're just now beginning the real journey. The one that doesn't end in getting her, but in becoming you.